you know.
And the headphones are just really good for helping you hear you. That's what I tell people. I don't think Danielle wore the headphones. But yeah, we've got, okay, so Chris Housenick. You're here. We will be... we
got opinions. We got lots of opinions.
We have opinions. We have opinions about Star Wars and other things. So we're doing Star Wars first?
Sounds good to me.
All right, we're doing 2 episodes today. I did 2 episodes with a guy yesterday. We reviewed The Mandalorian, and then we listened to a Pussifer album. That's one of Maynard from Tool and A Perfect Circle. That's his 3rd band. Mia Jovovich plays with him in some of his songs, who is a jiu-jitsu practitioner and actress. And we'll be talking about jiu-jitsu and politics later. Is this correct?
Yeah.
That'll just be a Life Unraveled episode. So we are doing an after-the-show assessment of Star Wars. Now, which avenue are we going to take here? New trilogy or new film?
I thought we were doing new trilogy.
New trilogy.
I think you had...
I got a new film one on Tuesday, but it's going to be unique. I got 4 people. We're doing a 4-person podcast.
Oh, God.
Yeah. It's going to be wild.
Yeah.
So kick the snowball down the hill, man. Where you want to start?
Oh, man. I liked it's Star Wars.
It is.
You know, it's like pizza.
I'm watching Rogue One. I watched all the Star Wars in between my first and second viewing of Rise of Skywalker. I've started the Clone Wars. I just finished Mandalorian. And anytime people get upset if you're critical, but anytime I'm critical, I still love Star Wars, dude.
Oh, yeah. You know,
stormtroopers can fly now.
Oh yeah, but no, it's the I kind of, you know, it's one of those. It's a good new trilogy. It could have been a great new trilogy, and I think that's where a lot of the weirdness and the butthurt comes from. It's like, they expected, me and my daughters, we were all really heavily into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And they pumped 20 films out in 10 years.
Oh, not to mention series, man.
And intertwined. And Avengers Endgame's got an outside shot at being, a Best Picture nominee.
You were saying that in the gym the other day, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But it's like they put out this 3-hour magnum opus and people went and saw it and shattered records. And I think what the problem is that people aren't looking at the movies themselves. They're going, well, it wasn't Endgame. It wasn't Infinity War.
That is a fatal flaw of getting into a big franchise universe like that, like whether it's Lord of the Rings or whatever.
Well, here's the jiu-jitsu version. Well, I've been training 6 months. Why am I not Gordon Ryan yet? Well, yeah, he eats, sleeps, lives, trains some of the best coaches in the galaxy. And you've had 6 months and he's, lived it for, a decade or more. Yeah. So, you got to have the right sort of yardstick. Now, the trouble is I'm sort of a creative guy. So I start sitting down and playing J.J. Abrams. It's like, how would I have changed this? Things would I have done, artistic directions or differences.
Let me pause real quick. Did you know there's a D&D-esque Star Wars game, like an RPG tabletop?
Of course.
Dude, why aren't we playing it together? I got another guy that he plays it, and he was just on this. The guy I did the Mandalorian episode with, and I would be
if he GMs, I'm in. I'm down. I've got in all these. Here's the great thing about role-playing games have exploded over the last 5 years.
Yeah,
and a lot of it is they've changed how they are presented. A lot of role-playing games have they've created starter sets. When I started playing role-playing games in the late 80s. And when you started those, you had to buy hardcover books. I mean, you went to the mall, and you may have to buy $40 or $50 worth of books to get started. A lot of game companies figured out that's a lot of front-end investment. So they started putting out these boxes. So for example, I called you about getting my cousin, and I got him a Magic the Gathering game night set to make it super easy to play with your friends that never played Magic the Gathering, for example. Yeah. They'll have a condensed rule book. They'll have some kind of scenario or adventure, a set of dice, all, the basics. But that starter set, I think if you go to, Amazon, local games, even in local game stores and bookstores, you may only spend $18 or $20 to try it out. Now, Star Wars is fun because they have different starter sets for different spots in the Star Wars universe.
Dude, we got to do this.
Hey,
Like that making time to do stuff like that and like play music. I'm gonna jam with Neil Harrington on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. It's just, it's super. I like doing stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
but I would. Star Wars, I would do. I don't know why I'm less interested in like rolling up a game of D&D. Mm-hmm. But Star Wars, I love Star Wars.
Basically, and you got to pick your era. They have, I think there's one. I think the one I have is they call it the Old Republic era, where there are thousands of Jedi and thousands of Sith. You can play the original trilogy. You can play like the grittier Mandalorian Rogue One universes. But it's just, there's plenty of options for what, part of the era you like.
Yeah.
To go explore. So
I'm gonna look into.
If you got a guy already down deep into it, I'd be down.
Do any of the local game stores have these sets?
Yes.
I ended up going. The guy in the city mall was there. Mm-hmm. Like, let me in. Like, let me buy a bunch of stuff from him. I was like, thanks, dude.
Oh yeah.
I need to give him a shout out. Well, shout out on.
They are all incredibly. At least here in Russellville. Here's the thing. I've been to a bunch of game stores. I've never had like a bad experience. Mm-hmm. Although they do make me feel old. Game stores have been around since I started playing. But one of the
I wish we had a comic store here local.
Yeah. That's what happens. A lot of game stores, they have something else that they do to keep their the doors open and the lights on. Like, here's my store. People ask me, like, do you play Magic the Gathering? And I was like, no. What happened was, like, I went to the Army in basically very late 91. So 92 to 96, I was in the military. I was still tabletop role-playing games, military strategy games, played those. Magic the Gathering, I think came out in 93 or 94. And like exploded.
I wasn't even charting it until the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Really. And I only started charting it because Ben and Devin Qualls from the gym both play it.
Oh, yeah. People get really into it. But I
got a cousin that's super into it.
Oh, it exploded. It really took off. And what I remember is a lot of game store owners, when I came back out of the Army, had to make decisions. Here's this new product that people love. You can bring casual customers in. But there were, they were few and far between, but there were some purists. Like, I'm just playing. We're just going to have our strategy games, and that's it. And those were the guys who went out of business.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them wouldn't compromise. And, the game store I remember going to, in the rest of the 90s, yeah, he had walls and walls of everything you could possibly want to play, but pretty close to the inside front door, he had a 20-foot section wall, which was just all Magic. It's like, our jiu-jitsu comparison. I don't think Dring says it as much anymore, but I know Dring and Caleb early on was like, my Taekwondo classes pay for my jiu-jitsu habits. That's what would get people in, get the door, that sort of thing. That's the way Magic the Gathering was in a lot of game stores.
I'm glad we're out of that era where people, like, so many people come in and are like, I heard Jocko, I heard Joe Rogan, mm-hmm. I heard, and they know about jiu-jitsu. Like my cousin's husband, for over Christmas, he listens to Joe Rogan a lot, so he hears about jiu-jitsu a lot, just like people listen to Star Wars podcast.
Oh, there's this has been my year of YouTube, where I've really I can sort of trace, I'm an old guy. I'm still on Facebook, and that's my, I'm not getting on Twitter.
We have a Twitter for the gym, but we never update it. And we are not great about updating our Instagram. We maybe make half a dozen posts a month right now. Mm-hmm. We need to be making one every day minimum. But it's like more people are in the Facebook space, but that younger demographic, man, mm-hmm. is not.
But really, yeah, I got back into role-playing games the last year and a half, and there is an insane amount of content available on YouTube.
Do you play the same time every week, or what?
That's what we did, yeah. I have it's a group of us. It's basically, all professors about my age. If you had Sean Huss on the podcast,
I did.
He's in my group. Another guy, James Stobaugh, he's up on the third floor. He's a criminal justice professor. But Jeff Auger, he's actually the acting dean over in College of E-Tech. He's done a lot of the online stuff like that. We have a group. We basically found every other Friday, 6 o'clock, we're going to play.
Nice.
And we said we're going to meet every 2 weeks. 2 weeks gives us plenty of, time to do other things. I'm the dungeon master for the group. So 2 weeks gives me enough time to put together, okay, what's going on next, stuff like that. And being a Friday night, you still have your weekends.
Yeah, that is a good idea.
Because I realized that a lot of my Friday nights were kind of worthless. With you get to Friday and everybody's okay, so we're done. Maybe some open mat once in a blue moon. But a lot of Fridays you just kind of flop on the couch, you sit around, and then what do you do with it?
And I am wiped out by Friday when I get off. That's why I typically don't go to open mat. Yeah. Just because I by Sunday I'm like full on recoup, ready to work and do tons of stuff. Like I went in, filmed, and got up early this morning. I'm about to finish my 4th book from over the break. So, and I hope that I'm able to knock out a 5th book. And I'm going to start. I haven't figured out what I'm going to do, what I'm going to call it. I might just call it a book vlog on my podcast channel and just review these books that I've got Audible now, and it's been a game changer for me.
Well, you definitely got me one book. I want to read Shadows of the Empire. I want to check.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I know. Because the new movies borrowed from other properties.
I wonder if I can send you that on my Audible.
I don't.
Do you have Audible or?
I've had it at times. Because I remember we take a big family trip to Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And the Sunday we do a marathon driving session. We basically do 1,000 miles on a Sunday. And coming Pittsburgh to Russellville is almost door to door, perfectly 1,000 miles. And I know both my daughters have headsets and they got their own movies playing and stuff like that.
How many hours does that take you again?
Wheels turning 15 to 16.
Yeah, that's about like going to Orlando.
It's almost exactly the same distance. Yeah. But it's easier coming. It's going east to west is easier because the time zone changes. Like
I would agree.
We leave probably about 8 o'clock in the morning, and we discovered starting to do it. We would stop. Once you cross the time zone line, you can get to Memphis easily, and the sun is still up. So it's like, I'm in Memphis, it's 7 p.m. at night, I just had a big meal and dinner, and my own bed and space is 3 hours from here.
I know, man.
It's just keep going.
Yeah, I've been there. I mean, I've made that trip to Orlando multiple times. I think 3 driving.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 at least.
I drove it once.
Yeah, going to Disney?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
But I will.
People that do that blow my mind. Whew. Like, they do it all the time. Mm-hmm. Like I get going, like Corey's about to go her 2nd time.
Yeah. So, we'll get you there.
Yeah. After I have a kid, maybe. Mm-hmm. All right, well, so let's start. Right. Force Awakens.
I liked it. It booted.
They killed Han Solo.
Yeah.
Shit. Mm-hmm. Harrison Ford, I was watching that documentary on Disney Plus, and he was talking about how he suggested they kill Han Solo in the original trilogy.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think it's famous. They didn't know what they were going to do with Han Solo, so the carbonite was like the perfect plot device. If we can't get Harrison Ford back for film 3, we just leave Han in the slab.
Do you know they changed the name of Return of the Jedi? It was Return, then they changed it to Revenge, then they're like, Jedi don't seek revenge. And that, like, weeks before it came out, they changed it back to Return.
Yeah. You were talking about Star Wars collectibles. I think there's crew jackets which had Revenge of the Jedi on them, which are like insanely like sought after, like tens of thousands of dollars for windbreakers.
Wow.
But
I wondered what kind of merchandise there was out there when I heard that.
Yeah. But I think you needed I liked it as a dramatic plot point. But I think of the 3 newest films, the Force Awakens was sort of the best, like, put together. Although my interesting story on that one, I remember Harrison Ford was injured on set, broke his leg.
Damn.
On Force Awakens.
I remember, like, wasn't like some stupid crew member accident or something like that? He was pissed about it.
Oh yeah, it was something mechanical or something fell or broke, but it basically you've got this multi-million.
He's like 70-something years old.
Oh yeah, but it shut down production for like 4 or 5 weeks. But what J.J. Abrams, what they do for 4 or 5 weeks, they actually sat down and really ground on the script more. They didn't just sit by, and I think that really helped.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that was kind of like when on Solo, when Ron Howard came in.
Yeah, so I liked Solo.
I did too.
You know what the problem with Solo is? You made a movie and a half. You spent how much money on one set of directors who you fired, and then you bring in. I know, so you made a movie and a half.
I wonder how the budget was on that. I never got to really go into it.
No, but it's that's the problem. I mean, Star Wars films are going to be expensive. So making one Star Wars film, if you budget $200 million or whatever it is, and you then make a movie and a half, you're suddenly staring at a $300 million budget.
Yeah.
For one, that was the bigger problem with, I liked what Ron Howard did. I liked Solo. It's fun. It's a fun Star Wars caper film, sort of a new genre. I
like that. I like Mandalorian. I haven't finished it, but I started Rogue One last night. I love Rogue One.
Oh man.
Dude, I was texting my buddy John, who was just on the show yesterday, about how they brought back Grand Moff Tarkin. Mm-hmm. Wonder how much more of that we're going to see in other movies.
Here's the thing: what Marvel has done, they call the word we use in. I think the movies use it, but also in games, they call it a sandbox. You've built this whole great world for generations. You've seen this with bigger properties. You've seen it with Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
You've seen it with Game of Thrones. Like, how many eras are there? They're talking about doing Game of Thrones, some kind of prequel series. And I remember reading an article somewhere. Here's the 7 possible different points in time.
Yeah.
You could set it. Let's do one on Robert's Rebellion. Let's do one when Bran the Builder was first alive.
Dunk and Egg. That book. Have you ever read that?
Duncan. Doesn't ring a bell off the top of my head.
It's like about Aegon Targaryen. Egg.
Oh.
And Sir Duncan the Fair. Remember, there's a couple of mentions of him in the show. Sir Duncan the Fair or something like that.
Yeah. Rings a bell, but
yeah, there are these complex universes, their own realms, their own.
And the latest Harry Potter films fall in the same.
Oh yeah, fantastic. Yes,
you've created this big sandbox. Go play in it. Go check other things. That's why I liked. We saw Grand Moff Tarkin, and they introduced just Moff.
Yeah,
it's like
and they called him Governor in Rogue One. Did they call him Governor in New Hope?
I'm
gonna rewatch the new trilogy after Rogue One again.
They throw the name in though. There's they call them regional governors.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I heard that, and I'm like, just like Babylon. But okay, so here's my I wonder how this Moff Gideon from Mandalorian with a freaking lightsaber, what are they going to do with that? Apparently, was Grand Moff Tarkin Force sensitive too, or so it's what is Moff Gideon guy? Is he a Sith? What's going on? Ghost Fring. Oh
yeah, it depends a lot on which way you go and how you want to spin it. This is between Christmas and New Year, so if stay away from Facebook, because that last scene and shot in The Mandalorian, everybody's losing their minds over.
I know, dude. Spoiler alert. That's why one of the videos I'm rendering over here is John and I's review of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Because we talked about it, and we talked about the new film and the trilogy and stuff, but. Man, so what did you not like about Force Awakens? Was there anything that you would be without, I'm not going to, just critical of in any way?
Got to remember my films, Force Awakens. No. It's the one I haven't watched, I I don't think I've rewatched it recently. I know I've watched it with the kids, but it's not as fresh. I don't think there was anything really sort of glaring that
here are like a few things that stood out to me, like on a recent rewatch. Like, man, Kylo Ren was such an interesting villain, and like how he holds the laser in place on Jakku when Poe is there.
Oh yeah,
like it just like, man, they build all this, and honestly, not to sound like a bully or anything, but when what is the actor Adam Driver?
Yeah,
when he takes off that mask, I was like, dude, I can't take you seriously. I just can't, man. Like,
yeah,
you know, but I almost think it would have been better if they would have kept him masked the whole franchise. Because I don't know, like I said, without sounding like a bully, he just didn't come across as a mean villain, like his face. And maybe that's what they wanted. Maybe they wanted him to have a softer face, something, but like, a lot of people have been critical of his appearance in relation to his role.
Yeah. I think him switching between the mask and unmasked makes like sense to me, because he was kind of like a teenage Jedi. You know?
I liked with the flashback.
He was fighting between, the light and the dark the whole time. And sort of, I could see the mask as being a metaphor for that and stuff like that. I don't think it bothered me as much, especially not in the first film.
Well, and it's not anything that really bothered me, but like when Cora was watching it the other day, she's just like, she made that remark. She's just like, I can't take this dude seriously. and I've heard a lot of people say that.
I think he might have needed to whip some people, like to beat down without the mask on more in Force Awakens.
And it kind of made sense though, because he has like temper tantrums. And then too, like remember when General Hux, and Kylo were talking with Snoke, and I think that is in Force Awakens, but
there's a hologram.
He's just like, how did you let this girl get away or whatever? And he says something, and he just looks like a whip dog, So it's like, it's very interesting how his character I like. I do, because he is very conflicted. He's very... You see, I get a feeling of almost like an innocence there, and of that back and forth, and the dichotomy of the dark side and the light side, and his parents and stuff. But it's, and then the story about how Luke was like sensing the dark side in him, and like drew his lightsaber on him.
So now we're into
that was from Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker. I called it the Rashomon sequences. Old classic Kurosawa movie. If you ever take film analysis, you have to watch it.
Who teaches that?
I don't know if
Erin Claire.
She may have at some point, but she would know.
Oh, look, she sent me her resume, and it has like every class she's ever taught on there.
Oh God,
yeah, she is super interesting.
Oh yeah,
like, and too, like, for not to sound pretentious about it, like super sophisticated. Like she blew my mind like multiple times. I was just like you're. Like she's smart.
Oh yeah,
that's all I can say. Like just what I said. But I'm hoping to have her back on. She said she got struck by lightning. What? I was just like, and to our podcast, like some paranormal page shared it, dude. I was like, what? Because we were talking about like meditation and mindfulness and spirituality and stuff like that. But
yeah.
Anyway,
no, it's the. I think when you start going around, when you're meeting professors, we're all in such weird, eclectic places. It's like she's a good one. She does yoga. She teaches English. She does roller derby.
She's in a lot of leadership positions.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
So she is just fascinating. I'm gonna have I want to have David on to talk about his radio theater program.
Yeah.
So.
But so we get into so Rashomon is this classic film, and it's the story. It's a sort of a crime story. This, if I remember right, I mean, I took film analysis about 20 years ago. So this couple's on a road. It's old Japanese samurai era. They're waylaid by, a Ronin. The husband is killed, and then there's this trial and stuff like that. But they tell the same story from like 4 different points of view. There's the wife's story, the highwayman's story. They even bring in a medium, and you get the husband's version of events. But it's that's what the Last Jedi was. You know, here is this fateful night told 3 or 4 different ways. You know,
did you were you see, a lot of people hated on The Last Jedi, and I actually liked it. Like, I remember the very first podcast I had was with Jesse Weiss, and it was just, we didn't really plan to talk about Star Wars the whole time, but we did. And he didn't really like a lot of things about it, and man, I enjoyed it. I was happy. So here's my overall critique of the prequels. It was like almost like they looked too technological, if that makes sense. But like, and then they scaled it back in this newer trilogy, and so it makes this weird, like, hey, we went way leaps and bounds ahead on our CGI and technology and everything due to technological developments on the prequels. So it made it look so different, and it's like they scaled that back to try, like in Rogue One. I'm like, man, they're a Mandalorian with Favreau. To where it's like they're trying to look more like in terms of cinematography, like the original trilogy. But that was one thing I really noticed that it's not like to be critical of it, but it's just like it's kind of like all over the place. And when the remastered version came out, that's what people were upset about, if you remember, which I wasn't, because man, I was just a kid seeing the remastered versions, and it became a part of my childhood. Yeah, there's these little. When I look at it, there's these little, like, establishing shots, I think is the film term for it, that you couldn't do in, you know, the late 70s, early 80s. Like, here's this, one is like, from episode 4, it's a bare shot of a street in Mos Eisley. Yes. And then here comes, the speeder drives down it. That shot couldn't have been done from that angle with 1975 or 1976 technology. So the speeder,
it's literally like 2 seconds to establish. Here's a street. It's dusty. That's why I didn't mind it either. It was that kind of just stuff you sort of take for granted. But I think when I liked all the Luke, Rey, Kylo Ren angles. Part of it. I did the new characters. I liked a lot. That element of it. I think the one thing that sort of stuck out in my mind is the timelines. Sometimes writers should be vague. Yes, so they can fill it in later. Or just know, like, instead of, I think they mentioned you have so many hours to go to the casino planet, Canto Blight, and get this hacker to do all these sort of things. They say too many times. I thought they said a specific amount of time. It's not an episode of 24. Yeah, true that. If you just pick up on that. Just say you need to get there as fast as you can, get this guy, and get back. You saw the same problem in the latest film. At the very beginning, they say we got 18 hours till the final order launches. Yes. Just say they've made a threat. 18 hours is too specific. It is. Because that's the one thing in a lot of the other movies. There's time elapses where the cameras aren't rolling. And I think the earlier trilogy, because you didn't have the technology, they just left the gaps in there. Yeah, I know. You wonder, like, how much time took place. And that's the thing. When you get to Empire Strikes Back, it is clear that there's a couple of years between Episode 4, Episode 5, Episode 6. Things have evolved. Luke comes back for Return of the Jedi, basically a fully self-trained Jedi at that point. They mentioned in Empire Strikes Back that they had run-ins with bounty hunters and things like that. That's what I love about the Shadows of the Empire, and John and I are going to do a podcast about that, but I've been buying all the merchandise, and I'm going to do some sort of video with that, but that tells the story from Bespin, when Han Solo is frozen in carbonite until he is recording the message on R2 to give to Jabba the Hutt, and to give you the gift of these droids, and he puts a lightsaber in them and stuff. But it's like,
that model of like I like that, and that's kind of what the Marvel universe does of like how they're building in these connector stories like Rogue One, or like how Clone Wars is right between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, and Rebels takes place after Revenge of the Sith. Rogue One right before A New Hope. Solo takes place before or after Episode 1?
Trying to remember.
I can't remember either. We could look it up. But
Solo, the Empire is around.
Yes. Okay.
So it's between 3 and 4.
Okay.
Because he's a young guy. He's a young guy, and if you remember some of the early shots when they're on Corellia, you see
it
them.
Does have to be after Episode 1 because Maul is alive, and that's the
but it's after between 3 and 4 because you see them, the big pieces, and you recognize they're assembling on Corellia Imperial Star Destroyers. You know, Corellia is basically a shipbuilding planet. You know, one of the best in the galaxy, and they were building the Empire's fleet. Yeah, because I think there's a shot when he's driving through. You see, partially completed Star Destroyers hanging there. I think they're lifted. You know how like the original Star Destroyers had those big like sort of spheres on top of the bridge. You see them like craning one or two of those up into the air, things like that.
Yeah.
But I think I kind of like. It's one of those. Overall, I liked the bits and pieces. What I would have really liked out of The Last Jedi, I always thought the new trilogy would have been more interesting if it turned into, you're expecting this fight between, Kylo, and everybody knew Kylo and Rey was going to be, what if, and you got hints of it, what if it was a team up? If circumstances push that Kylo and Rey have to work together.
I would have been down for that. And they kind of hinted at that, I think. Well, but it just never really
you get like a 5-minute sequence when they go when they off Snoke, off his guards, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that is where bringing in a big bad from behind the curtain. Who else is pulling? Who made Snoke? Who pulled? If you would bring in some bigger, badder villain,
like Plagueis or something.
That's exactly Plagueis. Yeah, don't go for people. Don't do the old thing. Do the new thing.
That's okay. So that's my overall critique. Not just Palpatine. Which, who's been the bad guy for everything we've talked about. There's nothing that he hasn't been the bad guy pulling the Sith strings. But
Plagueis, Bane.
Yes. Well, here's another thing too, that the whole planet destroying weapon angle too. Yeah. That's something in the new trilogy they brought back from the original trilogy that wasn't really the panic in the prequels. I like how the prequels didn't really have that. Right, but I also love how Rogue One, because you know how everybody talks shit about A New Hope, like, what, you just gonna shoot right here? Yeah. And it's gonna blow it up? And they're like, yeah, take this. We got a whole movie telling you why that's there in Galen.
Yeah. If you want something on your Audible for that Star Wars Catalyst.
Is that one of the canon books or what?
Yes.
Okay.
Rogue One prequel book. It is Galen. It's really focused around Galen Erso and director Krennic, but those two are basically. It's probably 10 or 15 years.
How many new canon since the Disney acquisition films are there? Do you know? Or not films, books?
I don't know.
Is there several?
Yeah. I got one. I bought Paige got one for Christmas.
I got a whole bag over there. Somebody brought me actually. So we're gonna be reviewing them.
All right.
Maybe Catalyst. I'll get that on my Audible and maybe we can do a review.
But Catalyst, Jyn Erso, the daughter, is probably like 5 or 6. And it's her parents, and they're actually friends with Krennic. They're all closer to equals. But it gets into Krennic's ambitions and stuff like that. And it was, I would call it Galen Erso, the dad's Oppenheimer moment. He's a scientist, so there's kind of sort of, I'm really interested in X, Y, or Z, and he's got his head down, and he starts making breakthroughs, but he realizes on what level of destructiveness he's created.
Yeah.
So and it's basically why is he in hiding on a farm with escape routes when you finally get to Rogue One. It's very different for a Star Wars book because there's not the fighting, there's not the it's very political and very personal. So it's a different angle to it all. But it was good. Yeah, I just bought another book. Paige got it for Christmas. It's a Count Dooku standalone.
Yeah, I saw that on. I've just been browsing titles, seeing what's out there, seeing what's expanded universe, what's canon, non-canon.
You just read it all. Just shut up and read it all.
That's what I'm gonna do, man. Honestly, I'm gonna kind of on the side. I think I'm just gonna get like once a month. Just get a Star Wars book and get like some sort of history book, something to kind of feed my interest there.
Yeah.
This Empire of the Summer Moon I'm listening to is awesome. Comanche.
We still read aloud to both my daughters, and I'm reading the first of the X-Wing.
How much do you read? Like a chapter at a time?
We read 10-15 minutes a night with both of them. So we're like 300 pages through a 400-page book, but I know there's 5 other. It's basically those books. It's the Rogue Squadron series. It's the Empire has fallen, but this is sort of a lot of between 6 and 7. Sort of the canon. Everybody sort of knows the Empire doesn't go away. In the Mandalorian points to this a lot.
Yes.
It fragments. It goes so many different directions. But the rebellion still has to fight on because there's people who aren't surrendering.
The resistance. It becomes. I like how there's levels of or eras of Rebel Alliance, the rebellion, the resistance.
Yeah. So this is still it's the rebellion era, and Wedge Antilles, the one fighter pilot who's probably better than Luke Skywalker. He's sort of the main character, but he leads Rogue Squadron is sort of the X-Wing squadron, the Dirty Dozen version. You've got the hardest job, you call us and we'll get it done. But it starts building through there. It introduces it introduces a fragment of the Empire who they're hanging on to. They still hold Coruscant. So you start to see who the bad guy is, who still holds the planet, that sort of thing. But
Coruscant's capital, right?
Yes, it was the classic capital.
We talked about this on the podcast yesterday with John on the Mandalorian review. I just thought that Coruscant was too much in the prequels. I'm like, nothing looks that advanced anywhere in any of the other movies, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so I just was like, that's too much.
I can see that. It's the Michael Bay-isms of a lot of movies. I was thinking this. I had the exact same reaction in Rise of Skywalker. You suddenly show up and the Final Order's got this massive battle fleet.
Yeah.
I think it'd have been a lot more terrifying if you drop in a massive, legendary, older, single bad guy. You give him one Super Star Destroyer. And you're kind of catching on. He's getting ready to come out of the shadows. That to me, would have been a much more interesting, powerful approach to take.
And they could have, so they could have done that.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But when they bring Palpatine back in the very beginning, and J.J. Abrams, I liked...
Here's my problem with the Palpatine thing. I don't blame J.J. Abrams. I get where he came from. I blame marketing and commercials. Surprise me with that stuff. They put it in the commercials.
His laugh or whatever.
Yeah. Exactly. That is one thing I think The Mandalorian was actually genius for. It had very little marketing.
It's vague. Yeah.
I mean, there was almost no run-up. Not in the same way. You had no idea what was going on.
What do you think about this? I'm starting to see networks like Disney Plus, Netflix, marketing, commercials. I only see this at working at the fitness center, but they're marketing commercials on like network television.
Oh yeah.
For like, hey, go pay for this service. Don't have cable. Mm-hmm. You know, and I mean, Corey and I don't have cable. We have internet and we stream everything.
Oh yeah, we're the same way. But yeah, I watched football and my girls were like, "What's this?" It's like, it's commercials.
Yeah. You get to like the football channels and stuff on Amazon Prime or something.
No, for about 5 months a year, I like the NFL. I'll watch Penn State if they happen to be on here in the South.
And that's your alma mater,
yeah.
Correct? Yeah.
But and Hulu makes it so Hulu makes it easy. It's like 3 mouse clicks. I turn on my live channels basically Labor Day, and I'll shut them off the Monday after the Super Bowl. Because with kids, life, everything, we watch almost nothing like when it's actually scheduled to come on TV.
Yeah, I know. Right?
You know,
remember when like TiVo was the transitional moment that got us here, you know?
Yep. Oh yeah. TiVo was invented by parents.
Yeah.
Because it's like you start watching, you know, you want to watch something, it's recorded.
You used to have to tape that shit off television on a timer on your VCR onto a blank VHS tape. Or maybe you would record over an old tape you no longer cared about.
I think everybody had that 1 or 2 tapes. Like, they're just a heavy grind tapes. They're going to be, you know, recorded over and deleted and recorded again, you know, a dozen times a week. But
remember how you get the...
I still remember my first VCR in the 80s. The whole, like, half the top pops up, tape in, tape out, and it had a remote, but it was on a cord.
Oh,
like
wow.
it ran like behind chairs and stuff like that. So
that precedes me bigly.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's I think if you would have had a less is more approach, like the Final Order was so well formed and well equipped, and also I would have had part of my team up theory. I would have had the Final Order wail on some of the First Order. Like maybe as think of the last scene of the Last Jedi. You know, a Final Order Star Destroyer pops out of hyperspace and destroys 2 or 3 First Order Star Destroyers, and then just disappears. That's just the last shot. 30-second space battle.
Yeah, I like how everybody just immediately complied, right? Like it was like, oh, we're just doing this now. But
I think that would have been a so much more interesting plot where all of a sudden everybody's got to play nice and work together. Because, you know, you've got this Final Orders out there, the First Order's a target as well, you know.
I know,
It would have created more drama, more tension between them.
Well, like the general that killed Hux.
Yes.
Or Hux being a traitor or whatever. That guy, I wonder how long he'd been in contact with Palpatine. Oh, that was one thing I was like, oh, okay, well, and like with like them bringing Tarkin back, I'm like, how many people are there that are like in contact with the Emperor within the First Order?
That's something canon behind. If you start reading, well, you've read enough of the books. There is a lot. The Empire is not one big happy family. It is very Machiavellian, palace intrigue. Mm-hmm. You could do probably a great Star Wars spin-off television show of just the Empire's generals plotting and scheming to either boost their cred or destroy their...
And that might be what they're doing, like Moff Gideon on Mandalorian, and like bringing back Moff Tarkin, and what's the guy's name from Rogue One, the white caped general guy you said?
Krennic.
Krennic, yeah.
Director, yeah. Oh, there's scenes in those books where Krennic's working his way up through the... That's part of what his storyline is. He's working his way up through the Imperial bureaucracy.
What is that actor's name in Rogue One? Do you know? You ever see that show Bloodline on Netflix?
Mendelsohn?
Yeah, okay, I think it is Mendelsohn.
Yeah.
But he's in a show Bloodline on Netflix, and he's like the black sheep brother of this like family that's got like, they're really prominent on the Florida Keys, but they got skeletons in the closet. It's pretty good. First season was really good. It kind of dropped off.
He was in Ready Player One.
I don't think I've seen that.
Steven Spielberg film. Excellent book. You're probably old enough you would get it. I was talking for his birthday. I got Justin Myrick a copy. It's basically this dystopian future. Everybody lives and works in a virtual reality. Think Facebook meets virtual reality. but he's the bad guy in that. But he plays this really good bad guy.
He does. I like him as an actor. Everything I've seen him in, he did a good job.
Yeah. I think he was in Captain Marvel, if I remember correctly. And he was shady, but turned out...
I don't remember. We watched that somewhat recently. I need to rewatch it. I did enjoy what of it I saw, but I think I was like grading test or something at the same time. I wasn't paying a heck of a lot of attention to it after like the first 20 minutes, but I liked how it was like a throwback to the 90s and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. Well, okay, so... what do you expect from the future of the franchise? Like, what would you like to see or not like to see? Because they're going to come up like what comes next. They're going to do like in
it's the social media is going nuts with that. They want to do a film a year. I actually like what the Disney Plus approach. It is truly episodic. It's this is a big thing I've been stressing and yelling at people about. One of George Lucas's big influences were the old black and white Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon clips, bits from like the 40s and the 50s. You go to a movie and you'll see a Buck Rogers episode. It's like 8 or 10 minutes. At the beginning before your feature film.
Yeah.
Nobody ever sees all of them. So you have no idea, I saw episode 3 of this one and I saw episode 9. What the hell happened in between?
Dude, I was talking about, it's like that collecting all this memorabilia when I was a kid. Like it was just so scattered out. You couldn't, like now I just look up the collections on the internet and then I buy them over here.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw.
I did.
Yeah. Anyway.
But that's, I think something, The Mandalorian works really well for that.
It does.
The Mandalorian's actually, like, when I sit down as sort of a dungeon master, that is a one-player Dungeons and Dragons, or...
You think they'll come out with a game? Maybe that should be the RPG that we play.
Oh, they probably already did, but you can look at each of the episodes as almost either like a session or two. Let's play, okay, so you've got... Trying to remember. So you go to the frozen planet and you capture the guy. There's one... you play all that out, the bar fight and the monster almost eating your ship. Okay, there's one game session right there.
Yeah.
The breakdown on, I keep forgetting what the name of the major planet is, where they started and finished, where the Bounty Hunters Guild was stationed.
Yeah, Pisana?
Yeah,
maybe, because I looked that up too, because I was like, is this Tatooine? Like...
It's Tatooine-ish.
Yeah.
But it's got more active lava fields and stuff like that. But
I like those sinking fields in the Flying Stormtroopers.
Oh, yeah.
Like that whole scene was badass. That's Pisana. That's not...
gotcha.
I don't know on The Mandalorian, but Pisana, because I looked that up and...
I think this is what Marvel's doing this as well. I've always been fascinated why more networks don't do limited run television shows. Come together, do something really awesome, and then walk away.
Yeah. I think that's great, because how many franchises or shows that after, a couple of runs, they fall off? Like Bloodline, I was mentioning a second ago, like really strong start, fell off. Yeah. And I think that like there's less propensity to fall off if you bounce around like show, movie, CGI, animated series, trilogy.
The longer I think about it, if you want to convert something a big property, you just need time. I've started watching the Lord of the Rings movies with my daughters, and yeah, they're great, but if you want to watch the extended version, you need 12 hours.
Yeah.
But you could do like we saw those Harry Potter, only book 7 got almost a scene for scene movie version. And that, Deathly Hallows 1 and 2. It took you 4 hours to do one book.
Do you think Rise of Skywalker could have been a part 1 and 2? And then just start doing the annual approach? Because like everybody said, and not necessarily being critical, but that 2 hours and 22 minutes or however long it was, they packed a lot in. Could they have made it a 2 hour and 40 minute films and released them a year apart?
I think you could have done probably 2 hour movies.
It wouldn't have been. It would have been unprecedented for the franchise.
Oh yeah,
it wouldn't have been a true trilogy, and maybe that's their gimmick. Is they're going to do trilogies, connectors, and then series to fill in gaps.
But it's like you can have come together, do like if there was never another episode of The Mandalorian,
Apparently they're doing season 2.
Oh, they're already... Yeah, I caught that.
Do you think Favreau from Mandalorian should get his own trilogy?
Oh, Favreau, and there's another guy, Fioni.
Yes.
There's... I think I'm missing a letter or two in there, but those two apparently have the big brains for... They've got a good finger on the pulse. Like, I didn't realize Favreau is like one of the big... You don't realize the big movies he's made and things he's launched.
Iron Man.
I didn't realize he did Elf.
Yeah.
It's like Elf, Iron Man. But the
he's in Friends.
Yeah. But it's like, I mean, you see him on screen, he plays this, sort of big, dumpy, goofy limo driver. But all of us, behind the camera, he's like launched and,
Well, he did attack the Clone Wars. He did that whole series.
Yeah.
110 episodes. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
I've got to watch it. It's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I know. Everything's on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
One-stop shopping.
Well, if you do end up... I want to watch it and Rebels. Mm-hmm. And that's going to kind of be my next time I'm going to rewatch. And I would love to do podcasts on all of it, man.
Oh, yeah, but it's... I think Disney Plus is doing a lot of those. Like, they've announced... they're doing a Loki. They're doing...
Oh, that'd be cool.
6 episodes... Bringing back, Tom Hiddleston. But they're doing, I think, a lot. There's a lot of properties that would be greatly served by do 13 one-hour episodes. Mm-hmm. And,
just leave it be.
Too many times, like, I think Star Wars says, I think they've realized they've got caught in, we're going to do a trilogy. And that becomes, well, do you have to?
What I would like to see them do is because the trilogies, yes, but how they're doing these filler movies and filler shows is that they give us a bridge. Like, let's say, we've got the 3 trilogies lined out, and let's say that we get a bridge between each of the prequels with a TV show.
Yeah.
And we get a bridge between each of the prequels with a film. Move to the original trilogy. Same thing. I hope Shadows of the Empire is the bridge between Empire and Return of the Jedi. Right? Because they could do that very easily and go into Luke making his new lightsaber and his hand bonding to his body and all that. But I would like to see them go back, because then it's not a trilogy anymore. You know what I'm saying? It kind of is, but imagine if they did okay, we got Rogue One, A New Hope. Then they do the 2-year span between A New Hope and Empire. And then between Empire and Return of the Jedi, let's say they did Shadows of the Empire. And to where it's you get a movie connecting. So it's like a trilogy within the trilogy, but the original trilogy is now 6 movies and 3 television shows. So it's 9 total pieces of the canon that you can work with.
Oh, yeah.
I like that. Yeah. And then you got the books.
At the end of the day, it's all, tell me a really good story.
I know.
Tell me a story I care about.
And show me things that are new.
Yeah.
What are some of the new things you saw in the new trilogy you enjoyed?
New things that I enjoyed.
Remember the X-Wing drifting in Rise of Skywalker? Poe drifts the X-Wing his weapon's going. Yeah, dude, I love that.
That was bringing real physics into a. You're flying a rocket ship. Real physics are going to be a little bit different.
I've had to reschedule her, but Dr. Nandivada is going to be our resident physics.
Oh, there you go.
PhD. So
nice.
She's coming on Thursday.
This is. I liked it, but I'm trying to think. Now you got me thinking a lot of the specifics about it. I like the struggle. I mean, I liked the struggle between light and dark. I think there's sort of this perception that Jedi are 100% pure and
that they're not tempted by the dark side. Yeah.
And Mace Windu is all sorts of tempted. But how far they give in, that sort of thing. But do they make the choices to come back? Do they make the right choice at the last moment? That sort of thing. I liked struggling, characters like you brought Grand Moff Tarkin. I mean, he was really not really a character. He didn't really have an arc or stuff like that. But I liked how you saw Rey dealing with the pull of the dark, Kylo dealing with the pull of the light. I thought that was a good. too many times it's the you're either with us or against us.
Yeah, it's a good dichotomy.
Yeah,
good back.
I like that. I like that struggle within it. I think overall, I like the plot points. I like the ideas. Putting the Lost in the first episode made a lot more sense. You sort of say, okay, you're gonna draw me out what'll happen in the Star Wars trilogy. You'll have an introduction, new characters in the first movie. The second one, it's going to go badly for them, and one of them will get, either killed or captured or lost or something like that. And the third, everything will be peace, love, and kumbaya afterward.
Yeah, I don't want to, like, for the future, I don't want to see them be too formulaic like we have seen. Like, I like the repeat of nostalgia, but there's just, and not to point out any instance on that, but in the new trilogy, there's sometimes when you're like, yeah, you did that just for nostalgic purposes. Mm-hmm. And I want a little bit of that, but I don't want it to be so blatantly obvious. It's like, oh, you were trying to answer that. Mm-hmm. Or you were trying to, fill in that gap.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you were appeasing, like giving Chewie the medal in the end was like appeasing everybody that was pissed that he didn't get a medal in the original trilogy.
You've been pissed for 40 years, yeah.
It's like cool, but also like how necessary was it? And then I didn't even catch that the first time. I caught it the second time.
Yeah, you watched Solo, right?
Yeah.
Well, they finally let Chewie rip somebody's arms off.
Yes. Chewie. I love how they gave their origin story. So yeah. Well,
we saw that actor this past year. We went down to Arkansas ComicCon.
Oh, really?
And the young guy who plays Chewbacca now was down there.
I want to go to a ComicCon. We'll have to go to one.
Oh yeah.
Maybe do a podcast about it.
Oh god,
I've never been.
It's a lot. That was my first.
You take the girls?
Oh yeah.
Great. Let me know when one's coming up. Do they typically happen always in Little Rock or Northwest Arkansas too?
The biggest one in Arkansas is, I think, in Little Rock. Like, they schedule it out a year. I think they've already set a date.
I would go to that.
I am terrible with Rhys Davies. I can't remember his first name. He played Gimli in the Lord of the Rings. But he was Sala in the Raiders of the Lost Ark films.
September 12th and 13th, 2020 at the State House.
Yep. My birthday
Convention
weekend.
Center. That's where the Taekwondo tournament I got the mats from.
But it was all kinds of fandom. That's where I got your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles post.
Dude, I'm pumped to put that
There's
in. There's
printmakers. There's all kinds of other artists, cosplays, you name it.
I got a Neil Harrington painting for the new studio.
You know what, the Arkansas, I think they call it the Diamond Chapter, the 501st Imperial Regiment will be there.
Oh wow.
The 501st Legion, that's what it is.
The Diamond Chapter from Arkansas, the old Diamond State.
Yeah, but it's they are the Imperial cosplayers who do all the charity stuff, and it's one of those things. It's bizarre how it's taken off, but the 501st Legion's like, they go to children's hospitals. They raise a lot of money for charity, but they're doing it in Imperial uniforms. I
remember like in one instance, maybe it's on Mandalorian, they didn't have enough snowtrooper uniforms, so they got like a local group like that to like be the extras, and like it's become that.
Oh yeah,
big time.
If you eBay enough, or shop online, you'll find some. I remember looking, I don't want a lot of stuff, but I would like a couple like high quality pieces. I remember you could get like basically custom fit helmets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember those.
They
were expensive. I knew somebody, maybe John, my buddy John, I knew somebody that had one.
Yeah.
And I was like blown away by how realistic and
I think it was a Stormtrooper one. Like, the outside was made with the same plastic NFL helmets. They used a lot of the same technology for the suspension system inside. But yeah, this was probably 15 years ago, and you were talking.
This is I was
$500 or $600.
Teenage kid, around that age
for just the helmet.
Yeah.
But yeah, you hear the stories. You find PDFs. This is how you custom create your own Stormtrooper armor.
Yeah,
that sort of stuff. So it's an insane world when you start diving in.
It is, and it is its own world.
Oh yeah,
it very much is. Like, why I would like to go to the ComicCon is just so I can geek out on Star Wars. And too, like Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, and And man, people go so like it's like Halloween on crack. It's people go so with their cosplay.
Oh, we went on Sunday. Saturday's the big day because they have that's when they have the actual cosplay competitions. Sunday there was still a lot of people though. Like we saw there was a line of them. People will get together. There was like 8 or 9 Spider-Men in all versions.
That's funny.
They posed together. They took pictures. They walked through all together. You know, it's just like it is. And if we were talking, you mentioned about Disney and stuff like that. A place where I really remember that was Universal Studios.
Never been. Core's been
right across town, maybe 20-30 minute drive. I remember one of the things I appreciated about it was it was more subtle, but you had a lot of fandom. You got to wear basically your ride tickets on a pass, so people wear like lanyards and stuff like that. You're noticing every possible franchise you can think of. You're at a Harry Potter world, but people are wearing like Fallout video game lanyards and Star Trek, everything. You saw a lot of that come together, but we'll definitely go down. We're starting to think costumes. Although I've already found my costume, I think, for next Halloween. So
what are you doing?
The trailer dropped for the new. There is a Black Widow standalone film.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Both my daughters love Black Widow. I could completely see one daughter in one version of the Black Widow costume, another daughter in another version of the Black Widow costume, and me. It's the Red Guardian. That's David Harbour's character, the big Russian uncle or whatever. Yeah. I got the beard, got the gray. I'm not exactly in the best shape.
Hey, you got however long till September 2020, or October.
Still fits.
You could do both, man. Do it at the ComicCon and
Halloween.
Yeah,
get a second wear out of it.
Yeah. Well, man, let's go ahead and wrap this episode up, and we'll take a little break, and we'll be back with another Life Unraveled episode. Talk about your assessments of life, jiu-jitsu, and politics, and how all three of them are related.
Always.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Tune back in for our other episode, and we'll see you soon. I'm going to use the restroom real quick.